Welcome to Saturday's Warrior, the channel where we talk all things BYU, Go Cougars, Big 12 realignment. And today we are reacting live to the BYU victory over Arizona. BYU is now 6-0, bowl eligible, already winning more games than they won all of last season, only 6 games in. BYU looks to be, everything that we could hope that they would be, and exceeding all expectations. And when people doubted them in the offseason, the team said, we know who we are, we'll show them. And they've come in and they've now made 6 statements, 6 wins, and are in a very strong position as of right now. Obviously, still a lot of football left to play in the season, but at this point, as BYU fans, we have to be just ecstatic. Right now, they've already reached my expectation for the season. I thought that they would go possibly 6-6, thinking they could potentially do a little bit better than that, but they've already gone 6-6, and it's just fantastic. And so right now, this is really just I've got a lot of tweets and things I want to pull up and talk about. It was a big day, a lot to talk about. A lot to be really excited about right now. Won't get too much into all the X's and O's. I still have to kind of digest some of that, but just really, really ecstatic about this team right now. And, now the possibilities ahead of this team are endless. Obviously, don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, but I think it's okay to put on the blue goggles a little bit and start to think, okay, what can this team accomplish? But before we get too far into the show, I want to ask you to please like this video and subscribe to the channel if you have not done that already. Share the video, do all those things. It really helps us as we continue to try to grow our channel, but also keep this conversation going. That's why we do it. That's why we're doing these live shows, for you to join us, give us your comments, and let's have a dialogue and keep this party going right now. Because right now the game's over, but I just want to keep talking BYU. Just so excited about it. So first comment I have here from 1-2, who joins us again, says, "That was awesome. We are going bowling and possibly a lot more." Yeah, absolutely. And that was everything we could hope for. I actually, I should have had it queued up. Tweeted that to BYU-SN this earlier this year. It's, what would you say to which, or about which bowl game we'd end up in, whatever. And I said, put that meme of Kenneth Rooks with his, after he won the silver, and said, literally me after literally making it to any bowl game. And BYU's already secured that, going bowling. And so for real, I'm just happy. I mean, obviously I won't be happy if we lose 6 games straight now, but BYU made a bowl game and showed drastic improvement over last season. They've already checked off so many boxes. And so it's huge. And now we can start wondering, okay, can BYU make it to Arlington? They certainly have the path ahead of them. Certainly looks very achievable. And we could go through the schedule. Actually, why don't we pull it up here and talk about it? So let's see. Looking at it. So obviously, we've already won these 6, and now ahead of us, Oklahoma State, who'll be starting a new quarterback. They seem to be in a spiral. I wouldn't count them out. Obviously, well-coached team. They had some ups and downs last year, but they're coming to Provo for a night game with a new starting quarterback. I really, oops, wrong screen there. Okay. I really like BYU in that game. UCF also made a change at quarterback, also seemed to be struggling. And then bye week before heading into, I will say, going to Florida, it will still be a difficult game. UCF, also a good team. But again, none of these teams scare us quite like they did prior to the season beginning. Utah, also going through QB issues, finally got Cam Rising back last night, and he just looked all out of sorts. Obviously, I think with not being able to probably grip the ball properly, losing some of that accuracy, which is having a big impact in their ability to move the ball. It was interesting that they never put Wilson back in despite that. So, and then Kansas, all sorts of struggles this year. Arizona State looks like one of the toughest teams left on our schedule. And that was one prior to the season that I felt like, okay, this is one we've got to win. And then lastly, Houston, who has fought well in some games, but obviously not doing so well. So the path is ahead of us that obviously we BYU needs to keep handling business um, and BYU's in the driver's seat, but having some other key losses there, some other top teams in the conference wouldn't hurt either. Um, all right, so we've got another comment here. Says BYU schedule does not look that tough going forward. It's going to be a dogfight when y'all come to Tempe in late November. Plus, y'all got the Holy War. Yeah, Tempe, obviously, that game against ASU, like I was just saying, is going to be one of the tougher ones left on the schedule based on what we're seeing right now. Now, a lot can change. Obviously, injuries to either side, BYU or the opponent. And maybe some of these other quarterbacks that are coming in where they make the switch are really going to be the answer for these teams, or they'll have time to make some adjustments. So by no means am I saying BYU will win the rest of the games, but certainly that schedule looks much more favorable than it did prior to the season beginning. And so at this point, with the way this BYU team has been playing, you got to like their chances in most of these games and to come out. I mean, with new expectations, let me know that in the comments. What are your new expectations with BYU now 6-6, 6 games remaining? How many do you expect BYU to win in those remaining 6 games? Because I don't think going 10-2 is really out of question. I don't know. So I would expect at this point we at least split those last 3, and I think that's on the low end, right? So going 9-3 would be kind of a low on the low end of expectation for BYU, I would think at this point. So Payson Cougar fan says the Holy War, records are meaningless. Go Cougars. What do you mean records are meaningless? I don't know. You mean for the Holy War or for in general? Because I think our record this year means a lot if we have a chance to play for a Big 12 title game. And so let's see. 1-2 says Retzlaff has improved remarkably, very good decision making. Lassiter has amazing potential, but perhaps dropping a few too many. Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that. That's something I was going to get to. Lassiter, and then he redeems himself. He makes some incredible grabs, some fantastic plays, and some other ones. And they're not all perfect passes. Sometimes Retzlaff gets a little bit too much mustard on him. They're not like right in the numbers because sometimes he's being rushed and has to get it off. But they looked, especially today, it looked like still catchable, especially for someone of Lassiter's caliber. Let's see. 1-2 says, I think 10 plus wins is a real possibility, and 12-0 is not delusional. It is not delusional with this record that is left and the way this BYU is playing with the defense. That is something that, it's real. We're seeing it play out before our eyes. I mean, the game felt closer than the final score indicated, but the defense keeps coming up big and showing that, why BYU has won its game so far and having very quality wins. Now, I think up to now, BYU has one of the best strength of schedule of what they've accomplished, and their resume is one of the most impressive. Now, I don't think that'll continue as we go throughout the rest of the season. Obviously, some of these teams aren't shaping up to be quite as formidable as we had anticipated, but nonetheless, I think to this point, BYU has really impressed. And Arizona is a good team. I expect them to continue to go off and continue to win some more games and be a very strong team. So I want to roll through here. It was a big day, and I want to go through some of these tweets that stood out to me today. I love this. I'm gonna play the audio. I'm not sure how it'll go over the screen, but it says, "This, folks, is a bucket list stadium. This is the most spectacular thing you'll ever see." Gus Johnson at LES in Provo. That was on the call today, and that is absolutely right. I wish I could have been there. What a sight! I will say that as loud and great as this crowd seemed, didn't seem quite as good as at the night game as the K-State game. I didn't notice anything specifically affecting, the noise affecting Arizona, but that could be coaching for them or whatever as well. But I mean, what do you expect? They were up early, cheering all morning long, and still brought the energy. It was fantastic. Let's see here. Moving through. Oh, I want to show some of the signs I saw. Arizona, thanks for the hockey team. What were some other good ones? Sorry here while they load. Bear with me. Some great signs. I came here to eat cougar tails and boo Urban Meyer, and I'm all out of cougar tails. So I love it. Yes. What did you guys think of the booing of Urban Meyer? Some people felt like that wasn't called for. I think 100% give it to him, and he took it in stride. So I thought it was all pretty good natured and what you'd expect. Oh, this wasn't a sign. Ignore the signs in the background. This was the graphic, and this is what I was just referring to. The strength of record right now, BYU at first. Again, that will change, but for now, I mean, what BYU's done can't be ignored. And then we want Bama, not Vandy, Bama having another close win, barely getting by South Carolina today. So not looking as tough there. I'd love for Bama to get another loss like that to South Carolina, and then some big wins in the SEC and just kind of cause some havoc there. And then we got Antoine Codes. Sorry, I missed you. I moved on. You'd said Arizona is not a good team. I don't know. We'll see. I think they're pretty decent. They definitely seem to be struggling. They're not who they were last year. They have some very high end talent, though. Probably some things they need to work on. But there were times when BYU, they were gashing up BYU, and it wasn't until kind of the red zone where BYU was able to clamp down a little bit. Where spaces get a little tighter. I think easier to cover all their guys, and Noah Fafita had to force it a little bit more, but. I don't know. It's to be seen, but definitely K-State and SMU look to be very quality wins at this point. Let's go through some more of these signs. And if you know any other signs, I don't think you can share images in the comments, but let me know some of your favorite signs you saw today. This again wasn't a sign. Sorry, I got a few things mixed in here, but man, what a sight. Big time at BYU today. And then, oh yes, AJ DeBonsa. I've also saw some videos and clips of the crowd chanting for him, and I hope he had a great experience today. I love that he's the front runner, or BYU's the front runner to get him. And what a game for him to show up. I still think the K-State game would have been even better, especially since K-State is in the running for him. It's still one of his top teams, but this was certainly a good one for him, especially with Fox in town and all the festivities and all the guys that were in town. I saw, who else did we see on the sideline? Like Fred Warner, trying to think, Puka Nakua, and obviously Steve Young, all sorts of people. So sure he got to meet all them, and they all got to kind of make their pitch. Talk about blue goggles. 1984. It's happening, isn't it? I'm not going to go that far, but if BYU, with their schedule, we've already talked about making it to Arlington is not out of the question. And then you go, then it's one game, and then you're most likely into the quarterfinals. Obviously, there's still a lot of big boy football to play after that, but even just making it to the playoff would be huge. And especially having that bye would be great. And then once you're there, anything can happen. It keeps going with what Steve Young was saying is basically, why not us? Why not this team? And let's go through some more here. Um, not a, not the same kind of sign, but still thought it was pretty funny. Booze and Cougs. Not sure who these people are, but I love that they own it. So um, pretty funny there. Um, let's see. Oh yeah, and Retzloff there, and then the big noon Shabbat instead of Saturday. Funny stuff. Great piece, by the way, by ESPN today on Retzloff. If you haven't seen it, you can go catch that out. It's on all the socials. And then I love this one, the real Big 12, and obviously the picture there at the bottom of the quorum of the 12 apostles of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So very, very apropos for BYU. And then here's one taking a dig at Utah. Welcome back, Cam, and his stats from last night. So giving it to him a little bit, which is fair game because Utah talked a lot of trash. I saw a lot of receipts coming out these since last night, and trashing people all over social. So and Utah had it coming. The burrito sign. Yeah, this was. I like how this is going to be like an unofficial logo or unofficial symbol of this football team now, and we're never going to be able to get away from that imagery. But going back to Utah, they have talked a lot of trash, and they talked about running the Big 12, but at this point, their two losses came to two previous, Pac-12 teams. So until some actual Big 12 teams that were here previously to them start beating them, I don't think we can rub that part in their face too much
because right now they're losing to their old conference mates from the Pac-12. So let's get some Big 12 teams in there to welcome them to the conference as well. All right, enough of that beefy burrito. Actually, I think I have another one. Right. Oh no, this one. Pray for Colton, and this was this was not the beefy burrito guy. This was the one who said he would get baptized if BYU won against K-State. I'm not sure what his status is, but he certainly liked that sign. So funny. This one, the secret lives of the Mormon husbands, and there we go. We got some great imagery there, and playing off of that Hulu show. And then I think this is my last sign that says, "I love Cougars," and I love the captions. You said it, so all right. I won't even get into that one either. This is what I was talking about before. AJ DeBonsa, with the crowd cheering for him, and he's there. It looks like he's having a good time. I've seen a few clips with him talking with Coach Young this week, or I guess yesterday, and hopefully he's had a great time in his visit at BYU, and we've done everything to get him to commit to BYU. Okay, now here's some talking about the Parker Kingston, the trick play, the pass back, and then he threw it. That was a big throw, and that play took a while to develop. And not being able to see the receivers downfield, I was nervous what was going to happen with that ball. Quite a pass, and I love this. Is Parker Kingston the second best QB in the state of Utah? People are asking. Yes, people would like to know. And Jerem Jordan saying that's Parker Kingston's third touchdown pass on 4 attempts in his career. He's 3 of 4, 96 yards, 3 touchdowns as a passer. His QB rating, QBR, it was like 700 and something, at least on my Yahoo app. I don't know if there's qualifying him needing to pass more than once or something, but it was a fantastic play, and at the right time. And criticize A-Rod what you will. I think his play calling has improved a lot. Say what you will about him. I think he has a knack for calling those trick plays at the right time, and they usually work out. We've had a little bit more struggle with him this year, but it's something he does really well. And then the Hype Train podcast, and if you haven't, go check them out. Great show. And it says Parker Kingston has more passing touchdowns in the last 5 minutes than Cam Rising does in the last 34 days. Hilarious. I love it. Nothing to add to that one. Good stuff. BYU has wide receivers that could start at QB for the Utes. I, I think we moved past that now. Oh, yeah, this one I don't know why I'm pulling this one up, but yeah, there were a lot. What I will say about the defense, especially early on, and I talked about Arizona being able to gash up our defense, and it just felt like we were getting a good push, but he was good at evading the pressure, and then he was still able to get the pass off before they got to him. And a lot of them were just so close. They'd have even start getting their hands on him, but then the hits started mounting up. And by the end, I mean, they were hitting him harder and harder. So even though he was getting the ball off, I mean, there was one he converted a 3rd and long, but he got crushed in the process. And so by that point, the score was already up quite a bit. But that wear and tear has got to, and I mean, credit to Fafita. He wasn't really flinching. He was staying in there and he was getting those passes off. Obviously, he had that interception at the end, but it was 4th down in your own end zone. And it was, give it over to BYU on the half-yard line and get rid of it or try to make a play. And he tried and it didn't work. So I don't fully blame him for that one. But yeah, let's look here. Arizona is finding success because guys are not in their spot. Secondary looks so confused at times. And this was something I thought this was more so in the first half, but there was after one play that the defense wasn't even set. They were redirecting each other. It just looked bad. It was almost shades of last year. And that's something that this team's been prided on, is that everybody knows where to be at all times, and that's why they can go make the plays. So sorry here. It looks like we got a few comments. Let me throw up some of the comments, put them up on the screen. Okay, 1-2. ASU likely to be ranked. Who do you like in KSU at Colorado? Yeah, I think Utah drops out, right? I mean, that performance was bad enough and Cam Rising looked bad enough that not healthy, that I think until we see otherwise, you have to assume that this Utah team is not going to be running on all cylinders. And I would think that ASU takes their spot. Now, I do think ASU is good. I think they're definitely going to be a tough out. Some of their wins, now that the season has kind of progressed, look less impressive than they did at the time, but they are certainly performing. They are ahead of where everyone thought they would be at this time too. So I think I would like to see them ranked. I don't think there have been as many upsets today. There have been some close upsets. I would have liked to have seen, Pitt and who was the other one? Was it Purdue and Illinois? Would have liked to have seen, a couple other teams behind BYU from other conferences that are still unbeaten lose, so that potentially more Big 12 teams can move in. To the second part of your question, KSU, Colorado. I don't know who I like. I do believe in this Kansas State team. I think they're very good, very well coached. I have been very skeptical of Colorado all along. Last year, I was proven right. This year, I've been proven wrong so far. So I think it's going to be a good game. Even though BYU got to play earlier and I don't have to stay up till 1:30 in the morning, if this is a close game, this might be a game I stay up and watch. I'm rooting for KSU because obviously BYU owns the tiebreaker over Kansas State, but then and it's just fun rooting against Prime. Call me a hater, whatever. Like rooting against this Colorado team, but it should be a good one. In Colorado right now, anybody that's in contention for that Big 12 conference game, you want to see them lose and put BYU in better standing. So that's who I'm rooting for. I don't know what'll happen, but I did pick Kansas State earlier in the week, though. All right, BYU still got to stay locked in. Things can turn around real quick. Good job so far, Cougs. And that is from Joseph Hecking. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, they have to stay locked in. But that is one thing about this team is from other teams in the past is that they've really stayed focused and locked in so far. And so especially with all the distractions today with Fox coming in and all the hype and everything and moving up even while you're on a bye week, it looks like they really use this bye week well. They integrated in the third string center. Sorry, I've got it here somewhere. Some other tweets. I'll get back to those. Maybe it's my last one here. Nope. So I'll find it, but
Yeah, they they certainly seem to be focused and locked in. Things could turn, but you have to like how this team has performed so far, and so appreciate that, Joseph. 1-2 says Arizona was averaging 2.2 sacks per game and had 0 sacks today at BYU. Kudos to the offensive line. Yeah, absolutely. Again, starting your third string center, losing Connor Pay, a mainstay on that offensive line, seemed to be detrimental, but the bye week came at the right time. Seems like they're able to really get this O-line gelling, and obviously the improved coaching there. It's really helped a lot. And we saw improved run game today too. Still probably not quite where we want it, not where it was before, but and actually, speaking of the run game, I'm going to tangent on this a little bit. Why is Ropati getting so many touches? I mean, I'm guessing they want um, to ease LJ Martin back in. They don't want him to get re-injured and everything. But you have a lot of depth there, and there were other guys that I saw, younger guys coming in that I liked better than Ropati. Now he had some moments today. Obviously, he had the fumble, but I mean that was a really good defensive play. But he did have a bust out a couple really solid runs, and I was impressed by. But there are those other guys, Sione Moa. Why not put them in and let these young guys? You're burning their red shirt. Let them run. I just haven't seen enough throughout the other weeks with Ropati. But again, it looks like this O line is improved and our run game is doing well, especially now that we're getting back to full health. All right, Luke Barney says, who else wants there to be chocolate cougar tails? They did have chocolate cougar tails, I think, even this season, didn't they? I don't know. I actually would love to go have I love maple bar. So I have yet to have a cougar tail. I'm East Coast. And so, I was there, but it wasn't as big a thing. It wasn't a must have the last time I was there. So I guess I need to change that and get out there and try a cougar tail. I'd be happy just for regular cougar tail, but yeah, chocolate one sounds good too. I need to go get myself a maple bar now. May not be the same. But all right, let's go through here. I have so many of these, but this is from David Talk Sports. He is the newest member of the College Huddle family, and he is the official representative for Colorado in the College Huddle. And he just says BYU is one of the best stories in college football this year. Love the shout out from other fan bases, just as I like to slam on the Colorado team a little bit, but. And Jeff Hansen says, I wish that we would have, that would have been a touchdown. That was obviously the 3-point that we had off the turnover, but also Arizona started the second half with the ball and BYU scored 10 points in a minute 49. So probs can't complain too much. Also, there better not be a soul moving a muscle right now. But yeah, obviously, it really had vibes of the K-State game, not quite to the same level and quite to the same, wasn't nearly as extreme, but definitely with scoring quickly there, coming right out of the half and putting Arizona down pretty big there early in the third. How bad would Utah fans kill to have Aaron Roderick at OC right now? Red zone offense is on fire. And so, I love it. All the hate for Jake Retzlaff from earlier this season has seemed to have gone. Even people are even turning around on A-Rod. When you win, all is forgiven. Everyone seems to be in good spirits now. So this is just, it's been awesome. Johnny Linehan, it's happening again. That was when with the turnovers happening, obviously, like we just talked about. And then Joe Wheat, need the receivers to step up here. Every ball has been catchable. And that was something we were talking about earlier. I said I had a tweet there about that. Today it really felt like these balls, even though they weren't perfect, they were catchable and receivers got to go get those. Speaking of which, someone going and getting the ball, that Parker Kingston catch for a touchdown was just incredible. No wonder the commentators thought that it was Chase Roberts, because that was a Chase Roberts-esque catch right there. So that was very awesome. That was going and getting it. Bruce Mitchell. Sorry, that was his name. Thank you. Continues to show he's a heck of a player. He's killing it at center today. Yeah, certainly. Did a great job. And Jeff Fuller, friend of the show, LJ has been awesome today. Won't get the big headlines, but his return is huge today and moving forward. Absolutely true. We've got some depth at running back now, which is great because that's something we've lacked for a long time. Having LJ, he's just another level, and it's exciting to have him back with 2 touchdowns today, a reception even. So another sellout today at LES, which should surprise no one. Absolutely not. Okay. Let me see. I got another comments here I want to get to. So here, Scott Frank. Somebody get Crew Wakely a scholarship. Yeah, no kidding. How is he still? They must just not have any available. Hopefully, they're taking care of him with NIL because that guy is just playing out of his mind. What a stud. Totally fantastic. And speaking of defensive players, I want to shout out Jacob Robinson too, who I think earlier this week I joined our friends, the Wildcat Radio 2.0, also from the College Huddle, and talking about the BYU team and previewing the matchup. And I think I referred to him as Jackson Robinson. So I realized that after the fact. So if so, apologize that to Jacob Robinson. But what an interception! Notice this too last year. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with catching interceptions when they just come to you, because that means you're in the right place, you made the right read. But he's going and getting these interceptions. He's having to reach for them. This one kind of tipped to himself. He is just going out there and making those interceptions happen. Such a ball hawk. In some ways reminds me of Kai Nakua that way. Also undersized, but okay, let's see here. Darius Lassiter loves totally redeeming himself, apparently. Yeah, let me expand these. Sorry, these are a bit small on the screen. Yeah, he does have some drops and then some big plays too. And one thing, so have we had a game yet where maybe today was the closest one where he and Chase Roberts both go off? I mean, neither one of them, they weren't insane, but like you had numbers, but so 5 receptions for both of them. Darius Lassiter ended up with 86 yards, 38 long, and then Chase Roberts had a quiet, 5 catches, 61 yards, and a touchdown. But it seemed like he had a quiet game, still big impact. But I'm waiting for a game where both of them just like really go off. But I guess that's one of the strengths of this team is that we pass the ball around to a lot of guys getting touches. And something else that I love today is we had some Keanu Hill sightings, and he was really a factor in this game on some plays. And I love seeing him excel because I was really looking forward to seeing him at the tight end position this year. Love this shot. What do you think they're talking about? So this up here, obviously, Shane Reese, the BYU president, and then former BYU president and current member of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So love having them on hand, and obviously a big Cougar fan. So pretty cool with him in attendance, and that they saw that. And so here's the play drive, the drive chart for Arizona. And I mean, they had that first drive, and I mean, BYU did too. We just chose to, we kind of stalled out there and went for it on 4th instead of taking the 3. But then there's an interception, stopped them on downs, and then it was the half. So only 3 real possessions there in the first half. Then there were a couple quick ones, because of the turnovers and things. But then to start off, and so again, we talked about, everyone was talking about the middle 8 minutes there. Now this interception happened before that, but BYU really controlled, it seems, the middle of that game. Then there was a fumble, then a punt, and then they moved the ball some more at that point. But by then the score was already getting a bit out of hand. So not out of hand. I mean, the game was not so far off, but and then Joe Wheat, this other tweet again says, not only will BYU be 6-0, they have held a 3-score lead in 5 of their 6 games. The Cougs have me feeling terrifying things for it being only year 2 in the conference. Yeah, it's certainly BYU is dangerous. It's hard not to get hyped at this point in the season, which goes back to, what are your new expectations for the team at this point in the season?
And then here's one from that I stumbled across. This was a kid I actually knew growing up in Michigan. Andrew Lord here says Fafita is gonna be one sore dude when he wakes up tomorrow morning. And yeah, I already talked about how they were getting to him, especially by the end of the game. They're getting to him a lot and hitting him hard. And I think I give him a lot of respect for hanging in there and he made a lot of those passes regardless of getting hit. So I give him credit for the way he played, but obviously it was not enough. All right. Spencer Duncan, what's up, man? Who is ASU the hardest game? Oh, how is ASU the hardest game left on the calendar, or is it still Utah? I don't Utah. Those rivalry games, no matter how well one team is doing and how poorly the other, it's always a fight, and it's at Salt Lake. They're going to be, reeling to kind of save face a little bit and beat BYU. So I would still say that is going to be a tough game, but this team seems locked in. And I'm not totally sold on ASU yet. I think they're a good team, but we'll see. And then, sorry, you revised it. Is ASU the hardest game left? So that was my answer to that one. And then we've got Cougar. Wow, go Cougs. Defense knew every time we brought in number 80, Surf Tight end needs to play more. Oh, yeah. Get Reiner Swanson in there some more. I mean, that play, he was dropped for loss. I wouldn't say that's on him, but you've got him out there. Use him. I was glad, like I said, we saw more of Keanu Hill today. I don't know if it's just, we kind of saw the difference between like Zach Wilson loved using Isaac Rex, and then it felt like Jaron Hall kind of moved away from that a little bit. But yeah, so maybe that's just Retzlaff's tendency, or I don't know if it's the play calling. But anyway, I would love to see Reiner Swanson some more. Get those young guys in that make an impact. I know they're really high on him. So I got to update it. Here's my score prediction that I've made thus far for every game. I've had some that was on. I was actually pretty close to this. It was 34-19. But then BYU just had to go and make a pick six there at the end to pull away. So I'm glad to be wrong on that score and have an even better outcome for the Cougars, who are looking very good at this point. So I guess at this point, my question is, again, what are your new expectations? We've now met the first goal of we're bowl eligible. What are the expectations for BYU going throughout the rest of the season? And I'll turn and ask you guys the question back. What is the toughest game left on BYU schedule? Like, what teams, what game scare you the most? I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on that. Let's see. I took notes all throughout here, but I'm going to have to go back and digest them. I have not done any of that yet. Just kind of been throwing out some tidbits as they've occurred to me, or as you've made comments here. But I don't know. Was this game enough to get AJ DeBonsa? That is something I don't think we'll get the answer to anytime soon, but hopefully it certainly had a positive experience there. And then Greg, answering my question here. Oklahoma State, really? I guess I should follow that up with, and why? Why was that the hardest game you think is left on the schedule? I mean, certainly well-coached team. They do have talent. We saw them have embarrassing losses last year and then some incredible wins. So by no means would I count this team out. Starting other quarterback, that might actually make them more dangerous. We don't know, but I like them coming in at a night game. Hopefully a chance to rattle that new quarterback and not really give them a chance to get going. But it's the next game. So yeah, you're right, Greg. Next game up is the one that we need. I mean, we're not playing. The team needs to be focused on and most worried about. But anyway, awesome. Let's see. Spencer Duncan says OSU has a bye week. Spencer, by the way, is my buddy here, so I appreciate you hopping on and getting in the conversation. OSU has a bye week, and we have a short week. That concerns me. It is a short week. I mean, it's nice we played a little bit earlier, but
Yeah, you could argue that. I mean, it's by one day, but they should be well rested and lots of time to game plan for us. We'll see. Again, BYU handled business last time. They had that letdown game off of K State going into Baylor. Can they do the same thing this time at home with the home field and with the rock behind them? I'm hoping they still be focused and geared up for the next game and not let it get to them. 1-2. It seems to me that UCF and Utah are the toughest games left, but not scary though. Yeah, I mean those definitely were two of the scariest games in terms of um, I, of difficulty for BYU to win prior to the season. But I mean, I don't want to compliment Utah, but I will say, that was one that obviously looked incredibly tough. But yeah, both of them look very vulnerable and having QB issues, which I think is hilarious because BYU was the one team in the offseason who didn't have a QB, had the QB battle, and it was going on, and that took so much focus. And now it's all these other teams in the Big 12 that are making QB switches that have really struggled and are looking for answers there. So you got to give Retzlaff credit. I love that the fan base has totally embraced him now and behind him, and he's making better decisions. You saw him; he's gone from throwing interceptions to taking the sack to now being able to get rid of the ball in time. So you see that decision making improving. But to your point, yes, UCF. By the way, I didn't see. I've been on here. They were in a close one with Cincy. Didn't see if they ended up winning or losing that one, but close one there. Cougar says Utah rivalries will always bring out the best, even if Cam Rising seems at his worst right now. Also, it's at Rice Cycles. Yeah, absolutely. We've always seen that, even when years when BYU was down, that I would say generally played Utah pretty well. It wasn't in those Independence days. It wasn't until the fourth quarter when it seems like think of that Zach Wilson one. I think that was 2018. For example, when things would really get out of hand. But yeah, so rivalry games, anything could happen, and Cam could be healthier by then. Wilson will have more reps behind him. Cougar says, I agree. Let's just play the next game up. Love your show. Thank you so much for the compliment. Thanks for joining and commenting. That's why we do this, is to continue in the conversation. And I will say about the next one up. I've always been really hesitant, and I think it's because I was there during the quest for perfection era that I never want to count my eggs before they hatch. But this season feels different, that I'm just able, and maybe it's because we're already playing with house money because the expectations started out so low, but I've just been able to enjoy each win as it comes, because each win was, a win that nobody thought we would get. And so we're already ahead of the sticks, with the football analogy, but ahead of the curve and outperforming expectations. So even if BYU ends up not making the Big 12 conference game or a championship, yes, it'll be disappointing, but we're going to a bowl game. We've had a very successful season. Yeah, I don't know. It's just really enjoying every game right now and just going along for the ride. 1-2. It seems to me that Cam Rising was not ready to play and will be out again next couple of games at least. Yeah, I would be surprised if they put him in again. I really am surprised that they didn't make the switch back to Isaac Wilson at halftime or something. The alternative hypothesis says, I think Utah is going to go with Wilson. Not worth trying to win now with the hope Rising will be healthy in a season that already has 2 losses. That's a really good point. May as well develop your talent. I know he's really loyal to Rising. Witt is, but Rising, if he's not healthy, no reason to force it. Yes, they'll most likely still be bowl eligible, and they'll still, be able to have some good moments this season, but and really, I guess they're still technically not mathematically eliminated from the Big 12 conference game. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Develop Wilson. He seems to have very high end, and he's looked promising so far. Glenn Lumen says OSU is the most important game in BYU sports history. I would love to hear your argument on that. I would say yes, it is, because it is the next one, and this is shaping up to be potentially a very, very special season for BYU, and yeah, the next one up is got to be the most important one coming up. So appreciate the comment there from Glenn. So anyway, that is it, I think, for tonight. I've rambled on long enough. I appreciate all you sticking on with me and commenting and watching the show. We will be back Monday or Tuesday early next week, where I'll have Adam on with me, and we'll break down the game a little bit more and have a few more insights, hopefully, and as well as updating our Big 12 power rankings, making our score predictions and all of that. And then we'll also have our friends on from the CGA Tour, who's the Oklahoma State podcast for the College Huddle, on next week to talk OK State with us a little bit and preview the matchup. And then we'll be back here Friday night for a Friday version of Saturday's Night Live, which is what I'm calling this segment as we hop on. So so please, again, like this video. We would really appreciate it. And then subscribe, and then that way you can catch all that other content as it comes out. And then last one, Spencer knows what's coming. Go Cougs.